indicated in their attached minutes to approve Andy Wolter and Ann Sparks to each serve a 3-year term, and Dan Munson to serve as new Selco Board Representative. Acknowledgement should also be given to Jim O'Donnell for his 9 years of service on the Library Board.
Move to approve that.
I'll second.
I'll second. Sorry.
Motion by Mr. Dahl, second by Mr. Bunky. Questions, comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. 8G, consideration of renewing the standards as originally adopted in 2011, implementing the Government Accounting Standards Board. Statement 54, fund balance reporting and government fund type definitions. That standard defines the way we class. Pardon me, everybody. Thank you. I'm having a hard time reading here. The standard defines the way we classify the fund, the equity in our government funds. City auditors recommend adopting the same resolutions to be effective for fiscal year 2014. 1. Resolution 2014-085, committing capital improvement fund balance and revenues for future and ongoing capital improvement construction projects and equipment purchases. 2. Resolution 2014-086, committing specific revenue sources and special revenue fund.
This is the same as it was before, correct?
Yeah, we just have to technically do it every year so that when we do the audit, then they have the authority to separate out all those things in the audit statement.
I'll move to approve resolution 2014-85, 085, and 086. We can do them together.
Motion by Mr. Bunky, second by Mr. Hansi. Any questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. Thank you. 8H, consideration of accepting quotations for project 13-00.9C for the removal of vegetation and sediment on riprap slopes and placement along Tow and on slopes in Brooklyn Bridge area, and project 13-00.9D for minor replacement of riprap on slopes and removal of vegetation and sediment on riprap slopes in 4 different areas. This is levy corrective work as identified by the Corps of Engineers to meet standards and which cost will be covered by the DNR levy grant. Quotations are scheduled to be open Friday, November 7th, and a recap will be provided at this meeting.
You have the 2 bids, Your Honor, and the engineer's estimate. The lowest responsible bidder was Zinke, and for both projects they were below the engineer's estimate.
That work can go ongoing, even though the weather might get cold and whatnot.
Right. It's almost preferred because the water level will be down.
Questions or comments?
I'll move to approve.
Second. Motion by Mr. Hansi, seconded by Mr. Culbertson. Anything? All in favor of the motion?
Pretty normal work and just gonna progress.
We're still disappointed about the riprap. I think council member was up with us in St. Paul, and they told us that the riprap needed to be replaced. That, if council would recall, bid was let out, and that contractor went belly up before the work was done. And, you know, the Corps signed off on it and said the project was done. Then they came back and said, well, its riprap is missing. And, you know, it's just unfortunate that it wasn't done right the first time in that particular piece. And cleaning the sediment out of the rock and some of the other things that need to get done, those are newer items that they've noticed.
There was some question too about where they're going to get the riprap and if it meets quality standards.
The quarry has to be certified, so that won't be a problem.
Where's the quarry, or don't you know yet?
They're gonna look, of course, locally, I don't know exactly where, but they have to meet the compaction requirements.
Further blasting needed up there up on that hill.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. 8I, review of 2014 mowing data. Data sheets were maintained by Public Works personnel throughout the year on locations, mowing time, fuel, and maintenance of equipment. Hours spent mowing and associated costs have been computed for council review.
So is this 1,855 and 7/10 hours? 1,800 on the page here.
No, 18,557.
Hours?
That's that I just computed across a sheet, but, you know, I've gotta, you know, take a look at those. You know, you gotta give me just a little bit more time to review the raw data. I wanted to get the information to you in a raw form, and then take your questions and roll back through them, and make sure that they've computed out. I'm not the best at Excel and spreadsheets and trying to make sure that the formulas are all perfect. That's why I wanted to get the information so you can look at it and say, well, this doesn't look right, or that doesn't. I can go back and make sure. I've got the handwritten notes if you want to look at those. But they're computed to the best of my ability.
That's.
To Roger's
that's
question, I
minutes.
think that might be in minutes.
That's in minutes.
Oh, yeah,
minutes.
I'm sorry, it's
Yeah,
not
divide that
hours.
out by
Yeah,
60,
it's
yeah.
minutes. Because everything was done by minutes, and then the operator per hours was divided by 60 to get this amount for the operator costs and the operator per hour cost.
Yeah, okay.
So then, did you figure in like an hour for every 8 hours?
I did not.
For
No.
break time, and
Nope, I didn't do that.
you wanna go back and do that?
No,
No.
unless the council tells me to do that.
How would you put that in? I mean, it's supposed to be strictly time spent mowing.
Kurt
It's an added cost.
Kurt did account for loading times, like when they went to the airport, and there was about 15 minutes per event. And I didn't put that on there. But I tried to put up, what those sheets will suggest to you is the time that they were either pushing a lawnmower or sitting on one.
So when you talked to them, did you ask them why the trimming wasn't done? Why it's left by the 7 inches high
Or higher.
or higher? That's a concern. We've got probably the prettiest town around here. And I would like to see them dikes mowed 2.5 to 3.5 inches high. In the specs here, that's what we had the guy that bid on it follow. I mean, what good is it to give it to our public works if they're not gonna follow it? Where are we going wrong? We're paying these guys, we're giving them a raise, we're paying them. Performance is not there. I am very dissatisfied with them. And I don't know what it's gonna take. I'd like to make a motion to put it back out for bids. Put the mowing back out for bids. And I would like to see the bid come back in and open at the council, and their bid come and open at the